Caitlyn Clark is going to miss tonight's game, and she's got a groin injury. I have been banging the drum online and on here for the last 2 weeks saying there's something wrong with her legs. There's something going on. Is it the nagging quad injury? But it's something to do with the lower half of her body. It is a groin injury. Now we've got an idea of why she's struggling from long range, where it requires, some real push.
Caitlyn Clark's groin just tapped out like it owed someone money, and now she's benched. But wait, it gets juicier. Dawana Bana? Oh, she didn't just stir the pot. She launched it across the room. Fever fans are fuming, quitting drama is flying, and somehow it's all messier than a toddler with spaghetti. What really went down? Why's Dawana snapping? And how did Caitlyn's groin end up the plot twist? Buckle up. This roller coaster's got no brakes and a whole lot of chaos.
And that is the news that Caitlyn Clark is out with a groin injury. Now, if you guys have been watching the Indiana Fever and Caitlyn Clark play over the past 3 games, it is very clear that Caitlyn Clark is not feeling like Caitlyn Clark. She has only made 1 3-pointer in her last 3 games, and even just last game, she only had 6 points. But it wasn't only her performance on the court that was worrying fans, it was also just her demeanor, her energy. It felt like something was wrong. She wasn't hyping up the crowd like she normally does.
First it was a hip, now it's the groin. At this rate, Caitlyn Clark's body is sending out more distress signals than a shipwrecked pirate yelling into a coconut. This is not just bad luck. This is not oopsie-daisy territory anymore. This is full-blown, is she wearing a target on her back mode. Because somehow, some way, every game turns into a demolition derby, and Caitlyn's the only car without airbags.
Caitlyn Clark is out again with an injury, which is the worst thing you can hear if you're a fan of the Indiana Fever, and really if you're a fan of the WNBA, because obviously Clark is the engine that makes the Indiana Fever go, and is the single biggest driver of interest in the WNBA, and it's not close. And anytime somebody is out of the lineup, you get concerned, especially when it's Clark, obviously, considering she had already been injured earlier this year and is now out with what is being dubbed a left groin issue.
The Indiana Fever are officially in the danger zone. You know it's bad when the medical staff knows her Starbucks order by heart. Second injury of the season, and we're not even past the popcorn stretch yet. For a team that was banking on turning the franchise around with a generational talent, it's starting to feel more like they signed up for a high-stakes episode of Survivor, WNBA edition.
Caitlyn Clark out yet again with a left groin injury. Caitlyn Clark will be missing tonight's game versus the Los Angeles Sparks. The venue will be open. Out with a left groin injury. We go from a quad to a quad to a groin.
But here's where the rabbit hole gets real deep and real spicy. It's not just the injuries, it's how they're happening. Because when you watch these games closely, like slow-mo, frame-by-frame, football film room style closely, you start to notice something suspicious. Something that smells less like basketball and more like back alley sabotage. Every game, like clockwork, Caitlyn gets bodied like she's trying to smuggle secrets out of Area 51. Elbows flying, shoulders charging, hips checking, harder than a TSA agent with a grudge.
The Indiana Fever just lost a really tough game against the Los Angeles Sparks, and it comes back to the 4 things the Indiana Fever always have trouble with: missed layups, missed free throws, interior defense, and rebounding. That is why the Indiana Fever lost this game, and that's why they cannot be a championship team, in my opinion. You have to be able to get stops. You have to be able to rebound the basketball when you do force stops, but there was some positives in this game as well that we have to get into. Kelsey Mitchell was spectacular. I love to see her furthermore breaking her shooting slump. She had 20 points today on 44% shooting from the 3-point line, so you like to see her have 3 back-to-back games in a row where she's having over 20 points. She's totally in her groove now.
And the refs? The refs are watching a completely different sport. Either that or they're on a vow of silence like monks at a Himalayan retreat. Because of the fouls? Not called. The hits? Ignored. The blatant trying to rearrange her spin moves somehow chalked up to good defense. It's less let them play and more let them assault. One would think, just maybe, the league might take notice when their biggest draw is hobbling off the court for the second time in a month. But no, we're still pretending this is normal, like it's just part of the growing pains, except the only thing growing is the list of people who seem oddly committed to knocking Caitlyn out of every game, one limb at a time. You'd think she'd borrowed someone's parking space with the way players come at her. It's like she stole everybody's spotlight, and they want it back with compound interest. If jealousy had a playbook, this would be page 1. Target the rookie, rough her up, hope she taps out. And unfortunately, it's kind of working.
Her pre-game routine, she was doing some things differently. Some fans also noticed that she had her upper left leg taped during a couple of those games. So there's a lot of things going on, a lot of things pointing to the fact that something wasn't right. And I have to be totally honest with you guys, I'm not surprised by this news at all. I was just having a conversation with my fiance last night, and I told him, I was like, I think Caitlyn's hurt. I'm not going to be surprised if sometime soon the Indiana Fever pulls her and sits her for a few games. I think she is still battling some sort of injury. And less than 12 hours later, the news dropped from the Fever. But it's a tough blow not only to Caitlyn, because we know that she loves to be on the court. It's a tough blow for the Indiana Fever because that is their superstar. Whether she is playing to the best of her abilities or not, they are still a better team with her on the court.
Caitlyn's grit isn't the issue. She could probably take a hit from a bulldozer and still drop 25. But even steel bends under pressure, and when every game turns into a wrestling match disguised as basketball, something's got to give. This week, it was her groin. Now, let's talk about the big picture, because this isn't just a Fever problem, this is a WNBA problem. When your marquee player is being treated like a piñata on Cinco de Mayo, that's not competitive edge. That's a red flag with fireworks on top. And for the league to turn a blind eye, that's practically malpractice. And the fans? Fever fans are on edge. They're watching games with one hand over their eyes like it's a horror movie, because every drive to the basket looks like a dare. Will she land safely? Will somebody slam her into the hardwood? Will a ref finally remember what a foul looks like? It's like Russian roulette in a basketball jersey.
Dealing with an injury, not looking like herself, the game is already out of hand, yet we still put her back in with 45 seconds left. How much patience do I need to have before I can start going nuclear? Because I am getting very frustrated with what I am seeing. To everybody that said Caitlyn Clark didn't look like herself, salute to you. For everybody that said Caitlyn Clark might be going through something, salute to you. Clearly, you all saw what that person that stands there like this can't see.
It's gotten so ridiculous, there are probably Vegas odds on which joint Caitlyn will injure next. Ankles? Shoulders? Spinal cord? Who's taking bets? Because at this point, it feels like we're playing injury bingo with a star player's career. And yet the league's silence is louder than a vuvuzela in a library. The conspiracy theorists are starting to sound a little less crazy. Maybe there is a secret shut her down club. Maybe there's a rogue PowerPoint presentation floating around the league titled How to Annihilate Clark Without Getting a Technical. Their whistles? Collecting dust. Their eyes? Allegedly open. Their presence? As useful as a screen door on a submarine. And it's not just that they're missing calls, it's that they're missing obvious ones. Like physics-defying, limb-twisting, WWE-grade offenses. You'd have an easier time getting called for jaywalking on the moon than getting a flagrant called for knocking Caitlyn Clark sideways in the paint.
Do look at it, and you take a look at the injury. Stephanie White spoke about it, so let me give you the latest. This all just came out, so this is all as I speak. Basically, Tony East, shout out to him. This is the video of Stephanie White discussing the Caitlyn Clark injury.
With Caitlyn, when did you guys find out about this groin injury, and how much of an absence do you expect from her beyond today?
Yeah, late last night. I think it's very much a day-to-day thing, how she responds to treatment. I stay in my lane and let our strength and conditioning and our physical, our AT staff do what they do best. But yeah, I found out late last night, and then we'll treat it day to day.
Back to back.
But hey, let's not worry about protecting your most marketable star, right? Let's just keep letting her get pummeled like she's in a fight club nobody signed up for, because who needs health and safety when you've got drama and chaos? At this rate, the Fever might want to invest in a backup Caitlyn Clark. Maybe clone her, or wrap her in bubble wrap and just launch her threes from a safety pod at half court, because the current strategy, hope she survives, isn't exactly sustainable. And it's not just about the physical toll. There's a mental strain too. That kind of stress doesn't just wear down muscles, it eats away at confidence. Does this message send to other players? Disturbing. The message to young fans? Confusing. The message to refs? Apparently, don't worry about it. And the message to Caitlyn? Try not to break anything important next game. Maybe wear armor. Maybe bring a lawyer. Maybe just duct tape your limbs before tip-off.
The cat is out the bag, dog, for Indiana Fever star Caitlyn Clark. It's being reported that she has suffered a left groin injury and she is out. Now, we all knew Caitlyn Clark's health was a major issue. She has simply been playing some of the worst basketball of her career, and a lot of people, even myself, has been pretty vocal about Caitlyn Clark and this shooting slump. A lot of people was blaming it on the front office. That's why I didn't even go down that line and produce content blaming it on the front office. There had to have been a reason why Caitlyn simply wasn't Caitlyn, and I told y'all, sources was telling me that something was bothering her.
And yet, despite all of this, the Rookies is still delivering. Even on one leg and a prayer, she's managing to rack up highlights and keep the team in the conversation. That's not just impressive, it's borderline miraculous. But miracles have limits, and so does the human body. So here we are again, watching the same bad movie for the second time, hoping the ending changes. Except, this isn't fiction. This is the WNBA's headline act, sidelined again, while the league claps politely and hands out participation trophies. But if this keeps up, if Caitlyn's groin is the first domino and the rest of her body follows, the Fever might not just lose games, they might lose the future they were building. Because no matter how many jerseys you sell, you can't sell greatness if greatness is being stretchered off the court every other week. And if the refs don't start doing their job soon, if the league doesn't step in and declare open season on rookies officially over, don't be surprised when the next game feels like deja vu with a side of ice packs and regret. And if you thought the groin injury was the punchline, hold onto your headbands, because the bigger twist is Caitlyn Clark hasn't even been herself for a couple of weeks before this latest hit.
So Caitlyn Clark is out, y'all. She's injured. We don't know what it is. I think they said it's a groin or some shit like that. But guess what? It's not the end of the world, y'all. Only reason the WNBA will suffer is because they don't know how to market their game. Because they rely on being a one-trick pony. That's just like if you're a content creator and I make one viral video, but after I go viral, I stop making videos. That's the problem with the WNBA. They don't know how to make their league popular. They don't know how to celebrate their league and their players. See, Caitlyn brought everybody to the WNBA because she has a rare skill that nobody in the WNBA has.
That spark, a little dimmer. The fire, still there but flickering like a light bulb in a horror movie. You could see it. Something was off. She was dragging more than just defenders behind her. She was carrying the weight of an entire league's expectations, plus a few elbows to the ribs for good measure. It was subtle at first. Missed shots that usually kissed the net. Hesitations where she'd normally slice through defenders like a hot knife through marketing budgets. This version looked tired, worn down, like someone realizing in real time that being the face of the league comes with a price tag, and unfortunately, the league isn't picking up the bill. And this is where it all gets darkly hilarious. Because now she's injured, and the Indiana Fever management is staring at their crystal ball, only this time the ball's showing them a nightmare. No Caitlyn Clark? That means no money, no ticket frenzies, no triple-digit TV ratings, no Clarkonomics. It's like someone just unplugged their only power source and they're standing in the dark asking why nothing works.
Can we stop treating Caitlyn Clark like she's some type of villain? The hate that she gets from the other players in the WNBA is unmatched, and I don't understand it. All she's trying to do is put the WNBA on the map and raise it to another level, which is all she has done since she's gotten into the league. Ticket sales are through the roof. Sold out arenas because of Caitlyn Clark. The ratings are through the roof. You've got more eyes and more people watching the WNBA now more than ever because of Caitlyn Clark. And y'all steadily want to speak bad on her name. Y'all want to flagrant foul trying to fight her, mess her up in the games. Not regular basketball fouls. These are blatant, flagrant fouls trying to hurt this girl.
Clark is the currency, not just for the Fever, for the WNBA. The walking headline, the franchise investment, the one-player bailout package. Without her, Indiana's games feel like watching a movie with the lead actress missing. Sure, the supporting cast is cute, but we all know why the seats were filled in the first place. And now comes the million-dollar question. Should Caitlyn even play in the All-Star game? Let's be real. What does she stand to gain? Not with a 10-foot pole and a liability waiver. Let the league feel what it's like when she's not there to save the show. Let the Fever management finally grasp the fact that their entire business model is being held together by the knees of a 22-year-old who just wants to play basketball, not be tossed around like a rag doll for quarterly profits. Because here's the brutal truth. They haven't been protecting her. They haven't given her the space, the rest, or the strategic rotation time she needs to actually be at her best.
Now we finally know what it is, and it is a groin injury. Guys, I don't know what the situation is, what the hell they doing in practice, but we do know Caitlyn Clark is being defended pretty aggressively throughout this season. These WNBA women is not taking any breaks with Caitlyn Clark, and it's starting to get disturbing. I just did a video yesterday showing you guys the referees not calling certain fouls, allowing Caitlyn Clark to constantly get hacked up and down the court. This is sad, man, and I'm hoping she get a speedy recovery. Maybe she sit out a game or two. But guys, we got the Commissioner Cup coming up. We got the All-Star game coming up. This is the second damn injury Caitlyn Clark has suffered this season.
No, instead they've leaned into the gold rush. More minutes, more pressure, more spotlight, all while conveniently ignoring that she's been running on fumes and tendon pain. If Caitlyn's body were a car, it would have had the check engine light flashing since week 3, and the Fever just turned up the radio to drown it out. The signs were there. You don't need to be a sports therapist to notice when a player's pacing slows down, when her cuts aren't as sharp, when the signature long bombs start falling short. But instead of resting her, preserving her, maybe building some depth around her so she can actually breathe, they just doubled down. But nah. They saw dollar signs and ESPN highlights and forgot she's human. The league's walking ATM has a groin strain now, and everyone's scrambling to find the pin code again. And here's the kicker. Caitlyn shouldn't care either. She shouldn't lose sleep over the fact that the stadium might not be full without her. That's not her job. Her job is to be healthy, stay elite, and play the game she loves without being run into the ground. The management, the coaching staff, the league executives, they're the ones who should be sweating.
Honestly, it's just a matter of they're playing on the road versus at home right now. They're very good at Cambridge. Caitlyn Clark is very good at Cambridge, shooting about 45% on her three-pointers at home versus, I think, 6% on the road. It's been a very bad shooting season for Caitlyn Clark away from home. They need their offense to travel, and it has not. So it's a point of concern if the Fever can't figure out how to turn this around, especially because they're a little bit shorthanded too. You know, they're missing Damaris Dantas for the AmeriCup, so they're a little thinner than you might have expected for a team that supposedly added up so much depth during the offseason. They're smaller, they're not rebounding the ball particularly well, and it looks great when like the crowd's behind them and the momentum is going at home, and then the minute some adversity hits, like there's just a lack of punch.
Because now the golden goose has flown the coop and the nest egg is looking pretty empty. Let them feel the silence. Let the All-Star game go on without its headliner. Let the Fever run a game without 50 cameras zoomed in on their bench. Maybe then they'll remember that superstars don't just fall from the sky. They have to be protected, nurtured, and not thrown into every marketing campaign like they're made of rubber. Because let's be honest, if Caitlyn takes a few weeks off, the Fever don't just lose a shooter, they lose their entire identity. She's not just the engine, she's the steering wheel, the GPS, and the gas. Without her, they're just a team in matching jerseys trying to remember what hope felt like. So relax, Caitlyn. Let them miss you. Let them panic. Let them realize that your value isn't just in your points per game, it's in your presence. And when you finally come back, do it on your own terms. Because this game might not always treat you right, but it sure as hell needs you more than you need it right now.